And
It's
we
like
do
the
have
same.
customers that say that. They're like, "Oh my God, I was with my last processor for 15 years. Like I would have made 50 grand if I had been with you guys the whole time." So that's absolutely true. And people do ask us, "Well, how can you do this?" And we say, "Look, it's very simple."
Welcome to the Digital Marketing Secrets Show with Carlos A. Vasquez, where we share actionable strategies and tactics to grow businesses, no matter what industry you're in. Now your host, Carlos A. Vasquez.
Hey, what's going on? It's Carlos A. Vasquez, your host, DM Secrets. And today I have a very special guest. His name is David Surwitz, the CEO of Commission Buddies. And I'll tell you right now, Commission Buddies is one of those, you've probably heard the story of market disruptors. And I don't want to spoil it just yet, but I'll tell you right now, Commission Buddies, in my opinion, is a merchant disruptor, especially when it comes to merchant services. And David, thanks for coming on board, man.
Awesome, Carlos. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, man. So I was very excited because I had one of your teammates approach me because I was on the Infusionsoft certified partner directory, and Commission Buddies just came out of nowhere. Like I've never heard of it. I've never actually been exposed to it. And when I started doing the research, I was actually shocked that this was actually available for us, just business owners. It doesn't matter what size you are. Can you tell me a little bit more about Commission Buddies and what you do and how you got started in this whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Commission Buddies is really simple. Essentially what we do is we say, hey, look, we are going to make our customers a 50% partner in their own merchant services account. So what we mean by that is whatever money we actually make on their account, we actually are going to pay them 50% of whatever we make every month on a check or direct deposit right back to them. Mm-hmm. So we're doing things, differently, and that's of course without increasing any rates or fees. We simply match what they have and then pay them, half of what we make. We got into this, and we are the only ones doing this. We got into this because, I myself, my first business, which I still run, is a 43 location tutoring company called Grade Potential Tutoring. And here in California, we have our headquarters with about 50 employees in our headquarters here. And basically, I got to the point where I was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in merchant services fee each year. And it just felt like too much to me. So I decided I was going to vertically integrate and start my own processing company only to sell it to myself. And after doing that, we had some friends that are business owners that know me and trust me and said, hey, Dave, can you set us up as well? So I said, sure. And then pretty soon friends of friends were calling, and it kind of got us excited that maybe we had a second brand here. So we said, hey, we're going to do this, but we're going to do it really, really differently. And, I'm sure we'll get into that more, but that's kind of how we got going and how we work.
Wow. Okay. So then you were already running your own business, your tutoring business, and then you decided, wait, I'm paying too much in fees. I'm going to start a whole little process internally so I can save on the fees. I mean, how did that actual process start?
Sure. So, I'm not sure at what size it makes sense, but, because it costs us, probably close to $1 million a year, to accept credit cards, I just said, hey, look, this is such a large expense for us that I am going to, vertically integrate and literally, as opposed to buying it from somebody else, I'm mm-hmm. going to wholesale it to myself at no markup, essentially, right? That was the impetus for getting going. And that's basically what we did. Once I got some friends going and friends of friends, and we decided we were going to do this as truly a second brand, we did say, hey, look, there are thousands of merchant services providers is the truth, right? So if we're going to do this, we want to do it differently. And my mentor in this industry, he said to me, David, 75% of the haggling or 80% of the negotiations in merchant services are overpriced, right? So I said, okay, how could we take that out? And I said, look, what we're going to do is we're not going to do any price negotiation at all. We're just going to take your current deal sight unseen. Whatever you negotiated last time, we're just going to accept it. And then we're going to immediately make you a 50% partner in your own account. So whatever you negotiated last time, we're giving you the same rates and fees. And whatever money we make, we give you half. And that allows us to skip over, 80% of the negotiation because, price is not part of the negotiation. Does that kind of make sense, what I'm saying, or how that works?
Yeah. Okay. So I got it. So like, for example, most of the people I work with, they're usually using something like Stripe, right? Stripe,
Yep.
they have like an interest, not an interest, but they have like a transactional fee of
Yep.
2.9% of the transaction with an additional 50 cents. No
30
matter what.
cents, but yes. Yep.
Oh, 30 cents.
Yep.
Okay. I think that I
Yep.
confused it with like maybe eBay or something.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
okay. So they charge you a flat rate cents, and then they do 2.9%. So
Yep.
you can actually grab like not the commission, but the actual transaction fee, and of the 2.9%, let's just say 3%. So of those
Yeah.
3%, you can actually give back 1.5% to the customer. Is that kind of the gist?
Okay, so I wish we could give back half of the retail, price. That would be amazing. But in credit card processing, there is wholesale costs that go to all the banks that facilitate things behind the scenes. So if they're on Stripe or PayPal or whatever, that's super easy for us to match their pricing because it's published online. If they're with another third party, they just send us their bill, and whatever they're being charged, we match, okay? But there is something called Interchange in the industry, and that is the wholesale price. And there's hundreds and hundreds of different levels of interchange, all the way from like 0.2% all the way up to over 3%. So we do pay our customers half back after whatever the, half back after our cost of goods sold, right? So let's say that it's 3%, and let's say that on that transaction, the interchange was 2%. That means we're making 1, and we'd be giving them back half. So that's just half of that, 0.5%. That's just a simple example, but it can vary greatly.
Gotcha. So there's still a cost because the service does require some level of cost, and then whatever I guess that commission is what you'll be able to split with the customer or with whoever partners with whoever uses you as a merchant service. Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's either don't get money back or get some money back. You choose. So at the end of the day,
exactly.
You either
exactly.
Just get
to us, we're usuly met with kind of like 3 stages of people that we work with. The first is they kind of don't believe it. They're like, I don't get it. Why isn't everybody doing this? Why isn't everybody doing this, right? And I don't know if I believe this and blah, 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 blah. But since we're 100% referral based, they've usually been referred by a trusted friend that's already a customer, and so they give us a shot, right? Once they're up and running, they're like, this is awesome. I'm getting a commission check in the mail every month. I'm not doing anything different. There is no increase in costs or fees. The only difference is now I'm getting a check every month, and they say they love it. And then the third step is they're like, why wouldn't everybody do this? Like, everybody should do this. And we say, then get out there and tell your friends, because that's how we operate. We're 100% referral based. We do pay half the money we make, right to the business owner themselves. And then we pay out another 25% of what the business owner makes to the person who introduced them. And we have what we call our referral network, which we can talk a little bit, more about later. But people always start off in disbelief. They give us a crack because their friend recommended us. They're up and running it and loving it, and then they're going, "Man, why isn't everybody doing this?"
Right. That's how I felt when I learned about it. I was like, I'll admit I had some level of skepticism because I'm like, it sounds really too good to be true. It's like, how are you able to give me back some type of money from it? I've never got money ever from my credit card transactions. It's kind of like getting like an affiliate commission from yourself almost. It's like a new little stream of income that I was never expecting since I've started my business in 2003. And now you're telling me that there's years of money I've been giving away. Now there's an opportunity that I can get some of that back.
And we do have customers that say that. They're like, oh my God, I was with my last processor for 15 years. Like I would have made 50 grand if I had been with you guys the whole time. So that's absolutely true. And, people do ask us, well, how can you do this? And we say, look, it's very simple. Traditionally, there are sales agents for merchant processing that are out beating the streets and cold calling or whatever. And if they sign somebody up, typically their company that they work for gets half of the earnings, and that salesperson gets the other half of the earnings. That's the typical way. Okay. We just say, look, we're 100% referral based. So we're going to let you be your own sales agent. Like, since we don't have to hire sales agents, right, we are going to pay you the commission that typically would go to the sales agent, since we don't have to have them, right? So that was our whole, that's the way that we can do it. And a lot of people say to us, why don't other people do this, right? Why can't people do this? And the answer is it's much, much, much more difficult to pay customers back half of what we're making than it is just to give them a discount, right? So most of our competitors, if they're trying to earn your business, they're like, oh, we'll discount you. Let me do a rate review. Let me look at your, whatever you're paying, and we'll save you $200 a month, et cetera, right? That's much easier. It's much more difficult to pay thousands of people every month. But the reason we're able to do it is I already had the backbone and infrastructure created for my tutoring company. So for my tutoring company, we already built our own back-end CRM custom built. Now, you said you're an Infusionsoft certified partner. We actually used to use Infusionsoft at my tutoring company until we outgrew it, and we actually built our own custom built CRM for our own backend, right? And for our tutors, we literally calculate and pay thousands of people every month. And so we already had this system in place that we were able to like copy and paste and move it over to Commission Buddies. So it is much more difficult, but we already kind of had the system built, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Got it. Yeah, you already did the hard work for yourself, so that way you were able to replicate it for basically your customers. So that's usually the story.
Exactly.
Usually the story that I've learned a lot about how these businesses started out. They figured out they have a problem, and they figured out how to solve it. And then when they realized that they were the only ones that provided the solution, then they started offering it to other people. And then that's how other businesses basically grew themselves. So
absolutely. I mean, I see, I'm certainly not in the kind of business consulting or industry, but what I personally see a lot of times is there's two types of businesses that get going. The first is a technician that then organizes other technicians, right? They're a plumber, they start getting successful, they hire other plumbers, right? They're a tutor, they start getting successful, they start hiring other tutors, right? So the other side of it, which I am, is the recipient, the customer, right? I needed a tutor. Through my frustrations and having, the process be difficult, I ended up starting a tutoring company to solve my own problem, right? That was the same thing with Commission Buddies. I was a large customer of merchant services. I was frustrated by the whole process, so I solved my own problem, and now I'm trying to solve other people's problems. I mean, that's my take on it.
Gotcha. All right. So then how does someone have to be in business for long to be able to use Commission Buddies for their service?
They certainly don't have to be in business for long. I mean, there are certain levels of processing that make it probably more worth it to them. Mm-hmm. The average customer that we have, we pay him about $2,000 a year. Okay. Now, the average customer we have, we pay him about $2,000 a year. With that being said, I mean, we have customers that we pay over $10,000 a year. Our largest customer, we pay him over $30,000 a year. Okay. So that's $30,000 of profit. One of the things I always explain to these people too is this is not revenue. This is profit, right? There is no cost associated with this. This is straight bottom line profit. And so, if a company says, oh, I have a 10% profit margin, I'm like, look, us paying you $30,000 of profit is the same as a $300,000 a year increase in sales, right? You know what I'm saying? So I'm always want to make sure people understand this is bottom line profit, not just increase in revenue, right? But if somebody's only doing a few $100s a month in credit card transactions, I mean, the reality is we're not going to pay them enough to make it worth even, them, exploring us. But with that, we do have once you're a customer with us, then you can start making referrals into what we call our referral network. Okay. And we have and earn a lot more by referring us, since again, we're 100% referral based. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of very small customers that signed up with us, and even if they're only making $20 a month, they signed up with us because they were super, super excited to refer their sister who's a dentist and their friend who owns a restaurant, et cetera, right? Or maybe they're in a business networking group and they want to share what we're doing with their business networking group, mm-hmm. et cetera. So we do have a lot of really small customers that it may not make sense just for their own account, but they're excited to be part of our referral network.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I like the idea. Had I known that when I was starting out, I mean, there could have been an opportunity for this possible solution. But if I was starting out and I knew that I can generate, maybe it was a few pennies, I don't care. If it was even a little bit, sure. And I grew, eventually it's going to just continue paying me. It's almost like almost like an interest-bearing account almost. Like it's just going to keep building and building. All I have to do is keep selling and using this service, And then I will eventually get to the point where something